all engine running. Liftoff, we have a liftoff, 33 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
Ever wondered about the silent tales the moon holds beyond its glowing facade? As Michael Collins circled its hidden face, he stumbled into a realm of cosmic whispers where radio signals faded and a profound silence unfolded. While Earth buzzed with sounds, the far side of the moon held secrets, bathing Collins in a quiet never felt before. This was not just a voyage across space, but a journey into the unknown. What mysteries does the moon conceal in its silent corners? As we delve deeper, prepare to unravel tales that will make you see the moon in a light never seen before. Story behind Apollo 11's adventure to the moon. When we talk about the first moon landing, names like Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin naturally pop up. They were the brave hearts who first stepped on the eerie, gray surface of the moon. Their mission, Apollo 11, is a tale told many times over, shining light on their bold steps for mankind. But every tale has its unsung hero. In this one, it's Michael Collins. He was the third astronaut, the one who stayed behind in the command module, soaring through the moon's orbit while his buddies made history down below. His role, often overshadowed, was crucial for the mission's success. Now it's time we delve a bit more into his part of the story and some mystifying events that unfolded during their expedition to the far side of the moon. Let's wind the clock back to 1962. The United States was bustling with the excitement and the ambition of the Apollo program. It was a dream ignited by President John F. Kennedy.
We never clashed. I got along very well with Neil and Buzz.
12, 11.
I hark back most daily to John F. Kennedy. I felt that we were fulfilling, if successful, his mandate.
Who on May 25th, 1961, outlined the audacious goal of sending humans to the moon and bringing them back safely to Earth. NASA, the powerhouse of space exploration, took the helm and orchestrated a series of meticulously planned phases for this venture. There were suborbital and orbital flights, intricate docking maneuvers, simulations of lunar orbiting and landing, and the breathtaking extravehicular activities. All these were the stepping stones leading to the pinnacle, the Apollo 11 mission. The day was July 16, 1969, when Apollo 11 took flight. It was not just a rocket soaring through the sky. It was the embodiment of human ingenuity and daring spirit. Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins were not merely astronauts. They were the torchbearers venturing into the unknown. As Armstrong and Aldrin descended onto the moon's barren landscape, a wave of anticipation and excitement swept across the world. Their every move was watched. Their every word echoed through the vast void of space. Yet amidst this grand narrative, Collins's silent vigil in the moon's orbit was the linchpin that held the mission together. While Armstrong and Aldrin were hopping around on the moon, it was Collins who was entrusted with the vital command module, ensuring their safe passage back. His solitary orbit around the moon, though less celebrated, was as heroic. He was the unsung sentinel, the silent guardian whose vigilance made the triumphant return of Apollo 11 possible. But the Apollo 11 mission had its share of eerie secrets. Did you know that seeing stars from the lunar surface or the daylight side of the moon was impossible without some aid? Yes, the stark lunar daylight washed out the starlight.
We don't have a lot of fuel to do that. No, we were running a bit low on fuel.
Contact light. Okay, engine stop.
The world held its breath.
Light. It was one of the many stark realities that our astronauts faced in the desolate lunar realm. Apollo 11's voyage beyond the buzz was palpable on July 16, 1969, as a gigantic Saturn V rocket stood tall on the launch pad at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, USA. This was not just any rocket. It was the vessel that would carry humans to the moon for the first time. The Apollo 11 mission was the fruit of unyielding efforts, and the day to reap it had arrived. The components of this mission were as grand as the mission itself. The Saturn V rocket was the behemoth tasked with the job of thrusting the Apollo spacecraft beyond Earth's atmosphere into the mysterious space. This rocket was the powerhouse that created the pathway for the grand journey ahead. Officer serving as a military attaché. This military vein in the family charted the early course of his life, having him hop across various countries and states. A journey of constant transition that painted a broad stroke of experiences on his canvas of life. His formal education was rooted in St. Albans School in Washington, D.C., where his budding interests in aviation and astronomy found a nurturing environment. The skies beckoned, and Collins answered the call by enrolling in the U.S. Military Academy at West Point, graduating in 1952. Now a young graduate, he soared into the skies as a fighter pilot in the Air Force, actively partaking in the Korean War's turbulent skies. His transition into a test pilot came next, where at the Edwards Air Force Base in California, he honed his skills, testing a spectrum of aircraft ranging from nimble jet fighters to the mighty bombers. This phase was crucial. It was here that Collins morphed into a maestro of aviation, his hands tuning with the heartbeats of the machines he piloted. 1963 marked a pivotal year in Collins's life. The call from NASA came.
And the medical component, the medical considerations
And he was chosen as a member of the 3rd Astronaut Group alongside Buzz Aldrin, who would later share the historic voyage of Apollo 11 with him. This was the realm where pilots morphed into astronauts, a transformation that Collins embraced with zeal. His training was rigorous, encompassing modules from the Gemini and Apollo programs, the platforms that were designed to breach the earthly shackles and reach for the moon. Collins' maiden voyage into the vast cosmos was aboard Gemini 10 in 1966, alongside John Young. This mission was a dance in the stars, featuring intricate rendezvous maneuvers and a duo of spacewalks which Collins executed with finesse. His career took a brief detour when he was slated to be the backup command module pilot for Apollo 8, but a bone spur surgery hit the pause button on his plans. This setback, however, was just a precursor to his defining moment, redirecting him to Apollo 11, the mission that would etch his name in the annals of space exploration. Apollo 11 was not just a mission. It was a voyage of humankind, carried on the shoulders of Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins. While Armstrong and Aldrin descended to the moon, making that giant leap for mankind, Collins was the silent sentinel in the command module named Columbia, orbiting the moon. His role as the command module pilot was pivotal. He was the lifeline, the link between the moonwalkers and Earth. His task was to manage and maintain Columbia, ensuring its readiness for the journey back home. While the world's eyes were fixed on the lunar surface, Collins was the unsung hero, meticulously executing his duties in the solitary confinement of Columbia, making sure that the pathway home was secure. Michael Collins's silent odyssey. The Apollo 11 mission's success hinged on a trio of astronauts, each vital, each with a role etched in the annals of history. Yet as Armstrong and Aldrin descended towards the moon, it was Michael Collins who sat in solitude aboard the command module Columbia, orbiting the moon, waiting for the return of his companions from the lunar surface. This phase of the mission saw Collins overseeing some of the most critical aspects, his every move rippling through the fabric of the mission's objective, to land humans on the moon and return them safely to Earth. The first of his significant tasks was overseeing the undocking procedure, a moment of high tension when the lunar module, carrying Armstrong and Aldrin, detached from Columbia. This was a delicate operation where a slight misstep could trigger a cascade of dire consequences, jeopardizing both the crew's safety and the mission's success. As the lunar module set off towards the lunar surface, Collins found himself alone in the vastness of space, a solitary figure in a vessel orbiting a foreign celestial body. Though this might have seemed like a moment of passive waiting, in reality, it was anything but. Collins was engulfed in a whirlpool of responsibilities that were critical for the mission's success. His duties were a blend of technical mastery and vigilant observation. He was tasked with monitoring the systems, staying in constant communication with mission control, and preparing for the rendezvous and docking maneuvers with the lunar module post its lunar excursion. The rendezvous and docking segment was among the most technically demanding portions of the Apollo 11 endeavor. It required Collins to calculate and execute a series of intricate maneuvers, a ballet of celestial proportions laden with potential pitfalls. A miscalculation could have stranded Armstrong and Aldrin in lunar orbit, rendering them unable to dock with Columbia. Amidst these technical tasks, Collins also played the role of a vigilant guardian, ensuring the well-being of the command module, the sole vehicle for their return trip to Earth. The proper functioning of Columbia was paramount. Collins meticulously examined its systems, ensuring optimal life support, communication, and propulsion. His eyes scoured the lunar surface as Columbia orbited the Moon, documenting observations that provided invaluable insights for scientific comprehension. Beyond the mechanics lay a heavy psychological burden on Collins's shoulders. He was the mission's pivot, the link between Earth and the lunar explorers. His unique position carried a silent yet profound weight. Should anything go wrong on the lunar surface, he would have to return alone. Yet Collins personified remarkable poise, embodying the emblematic right stuff of his astronaut cohort. His dialogue with mission control was a blend of precision and focus, his every action orchestrated towards the mission's success. His efforts didn't just stop at rendezvous. They extended to the trans-Earth injection, a critical maneuver to depart lunar orbit and head home. His precision and technical acumen were instrumental, underscoring his pivotal contribution to this historic voyage. The far side of the Moon. The voyage of Apollo 11 was not merely a journey across space. It was a dive into the mysteries that shroud our celestial neighbor, the Moon. Among the myriad challenges and enigmatic experiences faced by the astronauts, Michael Collins's 48-minute radio blackout during each lunar orbit stands as a peculiar episode. This silence wasn't due to any malfunction or human error, but a consequence of the natural disposition of the Moon. As Collins soared in orbit, the Moon stood as a colossal barrier between him and Earth, swallowing the radio waves that attempted to traverse through, rendering communications with the ground control impossible during those minutes.
Of 60 minutes in 2005.
Was a very large.
This phenomenon paints a vivid picture of the challenges intertwined in the voyage of discovery to the Moon, especially its uncharted far side. The essence of this radio blackout lies in the basic physics of radio waves. These waves, a type of electromagnetic radiation, have the ability to travel through space, forming the bridge of communication between Earth and the realms beyond. Yet their journey is not unobstructed. They can be absorbed or blocked by solid objects like planets and moons. So as Collins's spacecraft glided behind the Moon, the radio waves were obstructed, plunging the astronaut into a period of radio silence, a silence resonating with the vastness and mysteries of space. This blackout was more than just a communication gap. It was a spotlight on the significant challenges posed by the Moon's far side. Three principal hurdles stand out when we venture to discuss the exploration of this obscure region. Firstly, the absence of direct communication with Earth is a stark challenge, as the radio waves pivotal for transmitting data and commands falter against the Moon's solid core. Any craft or rover exploring the far side becomes a lone wanderer for half of its orbit, cut off from the lifeline of communication with Earth. This situation escalates the operational intricacies, necessitating a relay satellite to keep the channels of communication open, thereby inflating the costs and complexities involved. The second hurdle is the demanding environment and rugged landscape of the far side. It's a realm of heightened elevations, greater craters, and a denser crust, a stark contrast to the relatively smoother near side. The landscape is less forgiving, with fewer maria, the dark lava-coated plains that grace the near side. The harsh terrain is a reflection of the Moon's early history and inherent asymmetry, a natural maze waiting to be navigated. Adding to the rigors are the extreme temperature fluctuations, a swing from bone-chilling cold to scorching heat, posing significant navigation, landing, and survival challenges for any spacecraft and rover daring to explore this region. The third facet of challenge is the veil of mystery that shrouds the far side. The initial glimpses of this region were offered by Soviet Luna 3 probe's grainy images in 1959. Since then, only a handful of missions have dared to venture to the far side, making it a region less charted and explored compared to the near side, which has witnessed the footprints of Apollo missions. Michael Collins' unveiled silence. As the narrative of Apollo 11 unfolds, the spotlight often shines on the iconic steps of Armstrong and Aldrin on the Moon's surface. Yet floating in the vastness of space, encircling the moon, was Michael Collins, whose journey brought forth a blend of solitude and introspection, interwoven with a mission of astronomical significance. As Collins orbited the moon, a segment of his journey plunged him into a zone devoid of the familiar chatter from mission control. This was when he maneuvered behind the moon, a realm where radio waves from Earth found no passage. This phase marked Collins as the first person to experience a solo voyage to the far side of the moon, a distinction that sets his journey apart. Previously, during the Apollo 8 mission in 1968, astronauts had circled the far side of the moon, yet they were together aboard the same spacecraft, sharing the experience. In contrast, Collins' voyage was a solo endeavor, as his companions Armstrong and Aldrin were on the lunar surface, with the lunar module Eagle nestled on the near side of the moon, maintaining a continuous gaze and radio contact with Earth. But for Collins, as Columbia veered behind the moon, communication with Earth and his crewmates ceased, immersing him in a phase of radio silence, a stark departure from the constant communication that characterized much of the mission. The far side of the moon, often termed as radio silent and radio quiet, presents a stark contrast to the radio frequency interference, RFI, that envelops Earth, emanating from various human activities like TV and radio broadcasts, communication signals, and other electromagnetic noise. This silence, far from being a void, unveils a unique canvas for radio astronomy, allowing for the detection of weak signals from the sun or the cosmos, unobstructed by Earth's RFI. Amidst this natural silencing of human-made signals, Collins found himself in a realm of contemplation and focused activity, a rare respite from the hustle of the mission. His solo voyage was not a narrative of isolation or boredom. Rather, it was a journey inward and a chance to savor the celestial spectacle.
11, this is Houston. You are go for GLI, over. Mission confirmed. Thrust is go, 11.
Collins, in his own words, recounted an absence of loneliness. He found solace in the stillness, a realm of anticipation, contentment, and even exaltation. This serenity was a pause, a gentle breath amidst the relentless momentum of the mission. As he orbited the moon, Collins was privy to a sight few witnessed: the rugged crater-poxed terrain of the lunar far side, a region veiled from Earth's view. Each orbit brought forth a mesmerizing scene: the emergence of Earth from the lunar horizon, a sight dubbed as the Earthrise, was nothing short of breathtaking. This singular vantage point offered a perspective that was both humbling and enlightening. The sight of Earth, a fragile blue dot against the boundless backdrop of space, evoked a profound sense of connection and humility. This experience, known as the overview effect, nudged a shift in Collins's outlook, nudging him into a realm of profound contemplation. As Earth emerged from the lunar horizon, it was not merely a planet making its appearance. It was a poignant reminder of our minuscule presence in the grand tapestry of the cosmos. His journey beyond the earthly realm, chronicled in his autobiography, Carrying the Fire, was a voyage that transcended the physical dimension, propelling him into a realm of existential contemplation. Collins pondered on the universe's meaning, our place within it, and the interconnectedness of existence. His narrative was not merely a recounting of a historic mission, but an exploration of the deeper questions that the voyage evoked. The solitary orbit around the moon wasn't a burden for Collins. It was a badge of honor, a chapter that enriched his life, expanding his horizons and steering his values towards environmental advocacy. The story of Michael Collins is a gentle reminder of the profound impact such voyages have on the individuals who venture beyond the known, into the heart of the cosmos. His narrative is a blend of astronomical endeavor, human resilience, and a deep-seated curiosity, elements that resonate with the timeless human urge to explore, to understand, and to connect with the cosmos. The silence that enveloped Collins as he orbited the far side of the moon was not an emptiness. It was a canvas of reflection, an ode to the boundless curiosity and the indomitable spirit that propels humanity to venture beyond the horizon into the heart of the unknown. Michael Collins's unspoken dread post, his illustrious tenure with NASA. Michael Collins transitioned into a new realm of service, securing President Nixon's approval to helm the National Air and Space Museum. With this new mantle, Collins didn't just find a new occupation, He found a podium to champion Earth conservation, striving to evoke a sense of responsibility among humans towards our home planet. His message was clear and resonant. The beauty and fragility of Earth as seen from the moon's orbit was a sight to behold and a treasure to protect. Collins's voyage to the far side of the moon wasn't merely a physical journey. It was a test of courage and resilience. As he orbited the moon in solitude, his focus was unwavering, even amidst the swirl of responsibility and risk that accompanied the mission. But beneath the veil of calm resolve, a gnawing dread lurked in Collins' heart. It was a fear not voiced often, but one that held the potential to mar the mission forever, casting a long, haunting shadow over his soul. This dread was rooted in a terrifying scenario, the possibility that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin might not return from the lunar surface. While the world reveled in the euphoria of the moon landing, Collins was entwined in the throes of the next monumental challenge, the lunar module's departure from the moon's surface. The rendezvous with the command module was a ballet of precision, with the mission's success and the lives of Armstrong and Aldrin hinging on the flawless functioning of the lunar module's ascent engine. Unlike other crucial systems aboard Apollo 11, there was no backup for this engine. It was an all-or-nothing gamble. If the engine faltered, Armstrong and Aldrin would be stranded on the moon, a fate devoid of rescue. The gravity of this reality was not lost on Collins. He confided his apprehension to a select few before the mission, labeling it his secret terror. With meticulous diligence, he combed through rendezvous protocols, scrutinized systems, and ran mental simulations of actions he might need to take should the plan unravel. The weight of this fear was heavy, pressing down on Collins with a relentless gravity. He knew that in the event of a catastrophe, he would be the one to return to Earth alone. Amidst a mission marked by camaraderie and collaborative efforts, he would stand as the lone survivor, the bearer of tragic news. The psychological impact of such an eventuality loomed large, casting a dark silhouette over the bright hopes of the mission. This dread escalated with the realization that he would bear the responsibility of divulging this tragic failure to the world. Facing Armstrong's and Aldrin's families, conveying the shattering news, and then broadcasting it to the countless supporters who had cheered the audacious astronauts, all rested upon his shoulders. It was a burden of unimaginable proportions, a solemn duty that nobody would ever wish to bear. But amidst the magnitude of this terror, Collins found a vein of resolve. He did not succumb to paralysis. Instead, he channeled this fear into his duties, employing precision, dedication, and tenacity to secure the mission's triumph. His fear didn't hamper him. Rather, it functioned as a driving force, a stark reminder of the stakes at hand. He recognized the risks, understood the stakes, and comprehended the trust vested in him by colleagues and country. This dread was rooted in a terrifying scenario, the possibility that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin might not return from the lunar surface. While the world reveled in the euphoria of the moon landing, Collins was entwined in the throes of the next monumental challenge, the lunar module's departure from the moon's surface. The rendezvous with the command module was a ballet of precision, with the mission's success and the lives of Armstrong and Aldrin hinging on the flawless functioning of the lunar module's ascent engine. Unlike other crucial systems aboard Apollo 11, there was no backup for this engine. It was an all-or-nothing gamble. If the engine faltered, Armstrong and Aldrin would be stranded on the moon, a fate devoid of rescue. The gravity of this reality was not lost on Collins. He confided his apprehension to a select few before the mission, labeling it his secret terror. With meticulous diligence, he combed through rendezvous protocols, scrutinized systems, and ran mental simulations of actions he might need to take should the plan unravel. The weight of this fear was heavy, pressing down on Collins with a relentless gravity. He knew that in the event of a catastrophe, he would be the one to return to Earth alone. Amidst a mission marked by camaraderie and collaborative efforts, he would stand as the lone survivor, the bearer of tragic news. The psychological impact of such an eventuality loomed large, casting a dark silhouette over the bright hopes of the mission. This dread escalated with the realization that he would bear the responsibility of divulging this tragic failure to the world. facing Armstrong's and Aldrin's families, conveying the shattering news, and then broadcasting it to the countless supporters who had cheered the audacious astronauts, all rested upon his shoulders. It was a burden of unimaginable proportions, a solemn duty that nobody would ever wish to bear. But amidst the magnitude of this terror, Collins found a vein of resolve. He did not succumb to paralysis. Instead, he channeled this fear into his duties, employing precision, dedication, and tenacity to secure the mission's triumph. His fear didn't hamper him. Rather, it functioned as a driving force, a stark reminder of the stakes at hand. He recognized the risks, understood the stakes, and comprehended the trust vested in him by colleagues and country. The narrative of Apollo 11 often shines a spotlight on the glorious moments, the triumphant footsteps on the lunar surface, the iconic planting of the flag.
Live television. This extremely sharp, clear picture is coming to us from about 175,000 miles.
And the euphoric celebrations that followed. However, intertwined with these moments of glory were threads of unspoken fear, a silent dread that hovered like a specter over the mission. Michael Collins, the often overlooked third astronaut of Apollo 11, bore the weight of this dread with stoic resolve, embodying the indomitable spirit that defined the audacious quest of Apollo 11. His narrative adds a layer of depth to the mission's legacy, a reminder of the human emotions that ebbed and flowed beneath the surface of calculated precision and scientific exploration. Through Collins's lens, the story of Apollo 11 morphs from a tale of triumph to a saga of human resilience, courage, and unyielding resolve in the face of fear. Michael Collins's unseen struggle and triumph. Michael Collins's voyage during Apollo 11 was more than just a physical journey into the unknown realms of space. It was a monumental internal struggle against the formidable specter of fear. Despite the looming dread of potential catastrophe, Collins' professionalism and resolve shone through every phase of the mission, embodying the very essence of an astronaut's unwavering spirit. His meticulous approach to every detail, readiness to tackle any contingency, and a demeanor that radiated confidence and serenity provided a bedrock of reassurance to his team, mission control, and fellow astronauts. It was a testament to his profound sense of duty and the unyielding courage that underpins the human endeavor to explore the cosmos. Amidst the vast silence of space, Collins was in a relentless dialogue with his fears. Every orbit he made around the moon was a dance with the unknown, a journey both outward and inward. The 48-minute radio blackout during each orbit encapsulated the stark reality of the challenge at hand. It was a period of radio silence, but a torrent of contemplations and preparations for Collins. Yet this isolation also presented him with a unique vantage point, allowing him to revel in the tranquility of space and find solace in the fragile presence of Earth against the backdrop of the boundless cosmos. This juxtaposition of serene contemplation against the backdrop of an unspoken terror showcased the profound dimensions of an astronaut's experience, often veiled from the public eye. The haunting secret terror that gnawed at Collins was the ghastly possibility that Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin might not return from the lunar surface. It was a scenario that carried a weight of unimaginable responsibility. The ascent engine of the lunar module was the thin line between triumphant return and eternal lunar solitude for Armstrong and Aldrin. Unlike other systems aboard Apollo 11, there was no backup for this engine. Its flawless operation was the only gateway for Armstrong and Aldrin's safe return. This stark reality fueled Collins's meticulous preparations and precise execution of each mission phase. His every action was a testament to an unyielding resolve to ensure the safety of his comrades and the success of the mission. As history unfolded, the dreaded scenario never materialized. The lunar module's ascent engine performed flawlessly, facilitating a perfect rendezvous with Collins in the command module and ensuring Armstrong's and Aldrin's safe return. The triumphant success of Apollo 11 echoed through the annals of history. Yet the nuanced dimension of Collins's concealed terror added a layer of profound human experience to this historic episode. As we journeyed through the cosmic tales of Michael Collins and the silent mysteries of the moon's far side, an unseen realm was unveiled. The moon, our closest celestial neighbor, hides secrets beyond its familiar glow. Collins's solitary orbit was not just a physical voyage, but a venture into the profound silence of the cosmos, revealing that the moon is not merely a silent spectator, but a keeper of cosmic secrets waiting to be unraveled. Our curiosity is the key, ready to unlock the unknown. What are your thoughts about this? Let us know in the comments below.